Okay, this is another video on how I'm heating my house. I'll try to make this as quick as possible and give you a real quick explanation of what's going on. And I'll show you everything. I'll show you the furnace and I'll show you the wood burner and everything. So this is my hot water heater. I've got 3 gauges here. That one, the first one, tells you the temperature of the water coming out of the hot water heater. Second one tells you the temperature of the water coming out of the wood burner. Third one is the temperature going back into the hot water heater. And right now it's low because the furnace is running. When the furnace kicks off, it'll go up to the same temperature as it coming out of the wood burner. And there's 3 lights on top of the first one. They're kind of hard to tell if they're lit or not, but one's lit. It's the wood burner is actually burning oil right now, and it's running on low, so it's got about a 20 degrees difference. And when one light's on, one blue light's on, it's telling me the oil heater, I should say, is on low. And when both are on, it's saying that it's on high. And the red one next to it is, in case it overheats, it'll turn the fuel off and shut everything down. And then over the middle gauge, there's 2 lights there. The red one is saying that the water's hot enough for the furnace to use it. And then when it's green, it's telling me that the furnace is using gas. And I've got that controlled by this thermostat here. And this switch right here, when it's up, it's automatic. It'll switch between the water and gas by itself. And this switch right here, if I flip this down, this one will make it run on only gas, and that one will make it run on only water. Okay, now also real quick, I got this phone sitting right here. I can look through that phone anywhere I'm at, as long as I have an internet connection on my phone, and I can see those 3 gauges, so I can see the status of everything, what's going on at home. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now here, these 2 lines are going to the wood burner. This one and this one are going to the furnace. These are 2 valves, a little relay there and a transformer. Now the water comes out of the hot water heater, goes through that pump, comes over here, goes outside through the wood burner, comes back up through this hose, and if the furnace is on, this valve closes and this valve opens. The water goes this way, goes under the furnace, comes back up this way, goes down here into the hot water heater. If the furnace kicks off, this one closes, this one opens, the water flows straight through down to the hot water heater. Okay, now the reason I have all these valves on here are because if I want to clean a coil or a radiator, or if I need to maintenance it or anything, I don't have to shut any of the water pressure off. I could just turn this valve off, turn this one off, and manually open that so the flow doesn't stop. And then that turns off the pressure to the coil under the furnace. Now the reason I got all these is because this is for the wood burner. If I open this one and close that one and close that one, it'll let the water flow through and right past the wood burner. And then if it's cold out and I'm not going to use it for a while, I can open this one. That'll let the water pressure go to the drain that goes out into the sewer, so I'm not blowing water all over under the house. And then open that one, I can blow air in there, and it'll blow all of the water out of the wood burner, put it all in the drain. But that's just all there, just so I can maintenance it without having to shut everything down. Because before all them valves were in there, I would have to shut that valve off, and that valve controls the whole entire house. So if I had to mess with something, I had to shut the whole house down. So that's much better. So I believe that's everything right here. So now I will show you the furnace. Okay, this is my furnace. It's a downdraft furnace, so it blows the air down. I basically just threw a relay in there and wired up another wire that goes into that other room. So when it's using water, it won't kick the gas on, and it'll only run the fan. So it makes it real cheap. But basically all I did was take a radiator out of a window air conditioner and soldered a 1/2-inch pipe fitting to it, and then went to PEX and flexed everything. But you know, this was two lines, like these 4 lines come up into these 4 lines, and these 2 lines went into one, these 2 went into one. So basically all I had to do was just kind of smash the copper down and then just put a bunch of solder on it. It works perfect. But all I had to do to my furnace to get that coil under there was lift the furnace up and put 3 2x4s under it, slide that coil under there, and put something around the front here. So that actually worked out pretty good. Okay, see, my furnace just kicked off, so I'm gonna go back in that room and show you that the gauges are changing. Okay, now this gauge is slowly starting to go up. It's about 10 degrees off from that one, but it'll slowly level out. But I also forgot to mention this: when it's on high, it's got a 60 degrees difference from the temperature of the water coming out of the hot water heater to it going back in or going under the furnace. So I could get it way hotter if I wanted, but 60 degrees works fine when it's below 0 outside. So, and I can also see my water pressure through this phone too. And then I made this to where I can just pick it up and move it around, but I leave it right there so I can see that gauge. But okay, now I'll take you outside and show you the wood burner. Okay, this is my wood burner. Excuse the mess, I've kind of gotten oil all over everything. I basically took my wood burner. I can still burn wood in it anytime I want, but I modified it to use motor oil, and that is because I can get a 55-gallon drum of oil for like $2.75. And before, when I was using wood, I was having to come outside and put wood in that thing like once an hour, you know, and now it's automatic and it runs by itself, and it just kicked on high, which is cool. I'll have to take you back in and show you the temperature difference, but I'm going to keep explaining this. basically took my wood burner and put it on life support, basically. Now it's got fuel lines, and this is for air, this is all fuel, all these wires, that's for the temperature, this is for the overheating. Move that out of the way. But basically what's going on here is that's a 5-gallon jug. It's almost empty. I gotta fill it up. It's about right there, so it's got about a half a gallon in it. But I put that pipe on the side and filled it up and marked it as I was putting fuel in it. So basically, so I can see how much fuel's in it. I got this valve here with a purge valve on it, so I can take this filter apart and clean it or whatnot. And this one's for low and this one's for high. Basically adjust the fuel for low, and then when it kicks on high, it opens this one, and that's how what these two valves do right here. And I've got LEDs on them to show you that they're lit or on. This here shows you the flow, how much oil it's giving it through an LED in there. This is the air, and obviously you can see that copper pipe comes down inside of there, and then they both come down into the pot, spins around in there, and burns pretty good. This thing is actually, it was real easy to make it burn, not so easy to make it run efficiently. It'll like build up a lot of sediment and stuff if it's not burning real good. And that's probably the hardest part, getting it to run right. But real quick here, see, I got a gauge, and that's telling me the temperature of the water coming out of the hot water heater. This switch here turns the fuel on, and when this one's down, it stays on low. When you flip it up, it will go to high and then kick down to low when it gets to when the water gets to a certain temperature. This switch here will keep it on high if I'm trying to heat it up for some reason, and that's usually I only use that when I'm starting it, getting it lit. This switch here pumps the oil out of a 55-gallon drum through a strainer, through a screen, and then through a filter, and then into that bucket. Now this controls the fan, the air, I should say, and I'll have to explain that here in a second, but that is, when this one is down, it is on automatic basically, and you flip it up and it stays on high. This transformer right here is for when it's on low, it's putting 16 volts to a vacuum cleaner motor, and when it's on high, it's putting 32 volts to it. No, 35 volts. Basically all I had to do with that is I took the motor out of a upright 12 amp vacuum cleaner, and it was this shroud right here basically, and then the motor is probably about that long, and it's all open. So I basically, there had a coffee can sitting there, I set it inside the coffee can, and it like fit perfect. So I used a coffee can, cut the bottom out, reduced it all down with PVC, and then stuck that pipe on it, ran it up into the wood burner. This right here is what controls the temperature of the water coming out of the hot water heater. That's actually a thermostat for one of them hot plate things. Now this right here is off of a hot water heater. It'll open at 150 degrees or 210. My bad. It'll open at 150 psi and 210 degrees. This right here, I put these two screws in that pipe, so when the water flows through that pipe, comes over here. I have a transistor and a relay right here, and basically that transistor tells that relay to kick on, and when the relay kicks on, it stays on, and then this light will light up telling me that it overheated, and this button will reset that. And see, I'll open this and it'll shut the fuel off. See, it shut the fuel off and this light lit up, so now I know it overheated. Press that button and reset it. Anything else I'm missing? Yeah, so basically I had to put my wood burner on life support. Kind of made it a mess, but is what's really cool about the whole thing. It's so much safer because when this wood burner was burning wood, this thing got so hot if you put your hand on it, it'd probably melt your hand. I mean, you couldn't set plastic handles and stuff on the wood burner and it, not melt. This thing's been running for hours now and I'm sitting here holding my hand on it, but yet it is keeping my whole entire house warm and my hot water. And this thing works so good, you could go take a shower and it'll still keep the house warm as long as you don't use all the hot water. If you use all the hot water, then obviously you can't heat the house. But then it'll take about 45 minutes to a half hour for it to heat back up. But as long as you don't let it get all the way cold, it never gets that cold to where it has to kick back over to gas. I mean, there's 4 people in my family and all 4 of us have taken showers and they didn't have to flip back over to gas one time. So, and it's so cheap to run this, basically all I'm running is, this right here is running all the LEDs and these solenoids, so that right there is not using much. I've got a vacuum cleaner. I have hooked a meter to it. I don't remember what it said actually. I got the meter right here. So you can see how many amps, how much power my vacuum cleaner motor is using. 2.5 amps. So that 12 amp vacuum cleaner is only using 2 amps because it moves so much air. I didn't need it. When I put 120 volts to it, first of all, it got really loud and it moved so much air that hose started whipping around like a hose blowing water. And then also too, I forgot, when it kicked on high, when this thing kicked on high, at first I was having a problem because it would kick the fuel on and kick the air on. Well, the fuel had to come from here and go all the way down inside there. So I had to make the fuel kick on first and then wait about a minute and then kick the fan on high. Well, so I had to put these two